Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. My name is Felicia, and today this video is just going to be me showing you how to do the sedge stitch. Sedge, like S-E-D-G-E, like wedge, but with an S. Okay. The sedge stitch is an easy stitch to do, and it is what I use to create my temperature blanket, as well as another couple patterns on my channel. So I love this stitch. It creates a very dense crochet fabric, and so essentially I have like a weighted blanket because it is such a nice cozy stitch. Okay. Before we get started, I do want to mention that you want to be coming a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet. So if you're comfortable doing those stitches, then you'll be ready to go. If you don't know how to do those stitches, I do have videos on my channel, and I'll try to link it somewhere in the atmosphere or on the bottom in the description box to show you how to do those stitches. And I think I'm going to go slow enough here where you may be able to catch on without having to check out the other videos. But nevertheless, get the knowledge, come on back, and then I'll show you how to do the sedge stitch. And this is again the stitch that I use to create my never ending temperature blanket. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and have any questions, please make sure you leave them in the comment section down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you're following in this for my temperature blanket, then you would go to that video. I'll tell you exactly how many stitches I needed for the foundation chain. But if you're just creating a project, you want to make sure that you do your foundation chain in a multiple of 3 plus 1 for the turning chain plus an additional 2 for the single crochet stitch. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but you want to do it in a multiple of 3, 6, 9, 12, a multiple of 3. 1 is for the turning chain, and then you'll do 2 more stitches that will make up like your single crochet stitch. So multiple of 3 plus 3. That makes sense, okay? Once you have that, you're going to skip your first 2 stitches. And into the third stitch, you're going to do a half double crochet. So those first 2 stitches that we skipped, that's going to create your single crochet stitch. Now we're going to do a half double crochet stitch in the third stitch from the hook. And in the same space, you're going to do a double crochet. So essentially, you're going to be doing a cluster of stitches in one space, being a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet. That is essentially the pattern, but I'm going to show you how to set up this first row, and then you'll be able to do it going forward, okay? So that turning chain there, that first little set of 2 stitches is your single crochet. You have a half double crochet and a double crochet, okay? So now you're going to skip 2 more stitches, and in the third stitch, you're going to do the same cluster stitch that we just created, okay? So a single crochet, okay, a half double, which means you wrap the yarn around once, you go in through the stitch, pull up a loop, you'll have 3 loops, pull through all 3 loops. That's a half double. You'll yarn over, because you're going to do a double crochet now, into the same space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the bottom 2 loops. That's your double crochet. So you see here how we have 2 sets of clusters. Skip 2 and into the third stitch, you're going to do the same thing. So pretty much all the way down your foundation chain, you're going to follow this pattern. And once we have this row set up, you can do the entire project, whether it's a scarf or it's a blanket, whatever it is. You have to get this first row set up first, okay? So we've already done our half double crochet. Now we're going to do our double crochet in the same space, okay? So again, you're going to skip 2, and then in the third chain, you're going to do your cluster. So that's a single crochet, half double crochet, and then your double crochet. Now at this point, depending on where you are in your project, I did a short chain, remember, you should have 3 stitches at the end. So when you get to the end of your row, you'll have 3 stitches. You're going to go into the last stitch. You're going to skip 2 just like we've been doing, and in that last stitch you're going to do just 1 single crochet. Now say you're making a whole project and you realize you got to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have 3 stitches. Find the very last stitch and just do 1 single crochet. It will still be okay, okay? So don't get too hung up on it, you messed up the entire foundation and can't do the project. Just make sure you get one stitch in the very last stitch of the row. Okay, you're going to chain one and turn your work. And in the very first stitch right next to that chain one, you're going to do a half double crochet, and then you're going to do a double crochet. Okay, so remember that chain of one, you turned your work, you did a chain of one. That chain of one is going to be just like your single crochet stitch. Then you do a half double crochet and then a double crochet, and that gives you your cluster at the very beginning of the row. Okay, so just take a look here. That's what we have going on, our first cluster of the next row too. Now, if you look here, you'll have your cluster from your previous row. You have your double crochet, half double crochet, and your single crochet. You're going to do your next cluster in that single crochet spot. So essentially, you're skipping 2 stitches, and then you're doing your cluster in that next space. Okay? So once you finished your double crochet, I'm going to show you it again so that way you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, there's your double crochet. Now, if you just look here, you kind of pull your work apart just a little, just kind of stretch it. You can really see the stitch that you need to be working into, which is the single crochet stitch from the previous row. Okay, so I'm going to stay on camera some more with you. We're going to work through a few more of these. This is not a complicated pattern, but once you get the hang of this second row, this is what you're going to do to complete the entire pattern. So that space right there is where you're going to place your next set of cluster stitches. Okay, and just like before, depending on how long your project is, at the very end, you're going to do a single crochet stitch in that turning chain. Okay, so anywhere in that, you want to just try to stay consistent with your project so you have neat rows, neat edging, but just get that hook right there in that turning chain and do a single crochet. It's a really pretty pattern, guys, when you really see it. Chain one, turn your work, and then again in that first space, that's where you're going to do, remember, your half double crochet and your double crochet, because remember that chain of one is going to count as your single crochet, and that's for every row going forward. Okay, now you're on your second, actually on your third row at this point. If you're following the tutorial, you should be able to start seeing that space where you're going to put your cluster. And remember, guys, it creates a bigger stitch, a bigger space, because we skip over the double crochet and the half double crochet from the previous row. So it's going to create a bigger space. It's going to be easier for you to see. See right here? Right where my thumb is, right there, okay? That's where you're going to do your cluster. Now, if you're counting, you're technically doing that. You're going to be skipping your double crochet, your half double crochet, and in the single crochet space is where you're doing this cluster. But if you're visual, just kind of pull your work apart a little bit and you'll see a bigger space that's been created. That's where you're going to do your double crochet, your cluster. So can you see right there? And again, if you just kind of stretch your work a little bit, you can kind of see the stitch places a little bit easier. All right, so that's pretty much how you do the Sedge Stitch. This is a dense fabric that's created. I didn't feel like it was a yarn hog, but it does make for a heavy project. So if you're looking to do something that doesn't have a lot of spacing, a weighted blanket, purses, wallets, even a nice scarf, you could do that with this stitch. Alright guys, I hope this video was helpful. Again, you can always slow down any video on YouTube to make it go slower so that you can catch on the concept a little bit better. Here's just a little clip on how you would go about doing that. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. And that's pretty much it. I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.